In this video, I'm going to be talking about the two effective strategies that you can use to get yourself into that business of your dream. I've got literally over 100 of them, and they're all different. For example, one of the strategies is something called simultaneous purchasing and raising of investor capital. And what that is where you look at the suppliers to the business and you create a rationale for the reason that they will want you to own that business because of a benefit that you're able to share with them. So at the same time that you tie in great purchasing for the business, meaning you're going to be buying products from certain suppliers, you make them literally your investors in the business. And if not investors, lenders who will put up some of that capital that helps you to get started in the business. Let's take an example of one of my students who had it in his mind that he wanted to buy, if you're ready for this, a tractor factory. They manufactured tractors. Now, they weren't one of the big name tractor manufacturers, but anybody that manufactures tractors is not a small company, right? They're not a small company. So the point is that he grew up in the farmlands. He drove tractors as part of his youth growing up. He decided that he would love to make these things. He had mechanical instincts and he wanted to buy the tractor factory. Well, what did he do? All right. He didn't have the money, but what he did have, he was a member of the 4-H group. He was a member of a lot of these farm cooperatives. And so he went to people who use tractors and he said to them, look, we pay retail for these tractors. Okay. And then we got to maintain them with just our own money. What if we bought this manufacturer where the owner is looking to retire, and we bought that company, and now we could buy tractors not at their retail, but we're buying them from our own factory, where we're buying them not even at wholesale, but at the cost that it cost the manufacturer to actually make them. And with that simple message, he went around to farmer after farmer, association after association. And within 6 months, he had enough people put together that together they could put up the capital to buy the company. Now remember, now this might have been a multi-million-dollar company, but they're not going to put up multi-millions of dollars. They're going to come up with maybe 10, 15% of whatever that purchase price is. And then they're going to leverage the assets and the cash flow of the company to come up with the rest of the money. And that was his plan. That was what he was able to show them, how relatively few dollars could be leveraged into the purchase of the company, which would allow them to save money on their tractor purchases forever. Now, as part of that cooperative and as part of the manufacturing group and being part of this group that owns the manufacturers, they also now had access to the mechanics who not only knew how to build the tractors, but knew how to service them, knew how to maintain them, knew how to fix them when they broke. So now they reduced their costs of farming by a huge percentage in terms of what the normal tractor costs were. Their purchases from the company elevated the sales of the company. So the company was now more successful than it was before the purchase. So at the end of the day, they reduced their cost of farming. They benefited from the growth of the business that they were now investors in. And for 10 or 15% of the total purchase price, which is what they came up with amongst them in cash, they now own this incredible multi-million-dollar company. So that's the kind of techniques that we're talking about. Money doesn't fall out of the air. Okay, we all know that. But guess what? Inside this brain of ours, there's ways that we can identify when we understand the business we're buying and what benefit it has to others, to get those others to work with us to put up the capital. So there are two examples of where you take the very business you're buying so that you're not out on a street corner somewhere just trying to do this all by yourself. You're taking the business that you want to buy and you're using its assets, its resources, its capabilities to help you draw your investors and your lenders to the business. So the reason that a lot of times people can't see themselves owning a business is they say, well, I don't have any money. I don't have any of these things. Well, the reality is you don't need those things if you're buying a business, because you're going to leverage that business and all of its assets, all of its capabilities all of its visibility, all of its strengths to help you to bring together the very assets that you want to have, that you need to have in order to make the acquisition. So the very first thing I'm going to say to you here is stop thinking of yourself as a single person, as a person who somehow you have to have in yourself everything it takes to buy the company. The very thing you want to buy helps you leverage the purchase. Now that sounds a little foreign to people in business, but think about this. Anybody who's ever bought a home did that. Okay, if you bought a home, you did that. Well, why and how? Well, you didn't have $500,000 to buy the house. You didn't have that much money, okay? But you had a house that was worth $500,000 that you wanted to buy. So you're going to leverage what's already worth $500,000 into buying the money. Now, that's not too strange a concept. If you ever bought a car, okay, you didn't have $50,000 or $60,000 to go plunk down on the car, right? Okay, but you got a car that probably is not worth $60,000 because the day you drove it out of the lot, it's probably worth $40,000 or $45,000. But the point is, it's got hard value, and you leverage that hard value into the ability to buy the car. Now they said, okay, you got to come up with a down payment. Well, fine, you had to come up with a down payment. But maybe you went and leveraged some money out of the house you owned to buy the car. Maybe you refinanced the car to help you get some of the money that you needed to take the down payment, put the down payment on the house. You see, there's always a way to do it. And then if you get really good at negotiations, there's usually a way that you can finesse everyone into taking less, leaning in more, accepting some kind of a side agreement that gives them benefits someplace else. Entrepreneurial thinking is not about how you can't get it done. It's about how you can get it done, and recognizing that anything of value, anything it is that is worth doing, has sufficient benefit within it that once you fully understand it, and once you're creative about how to leverage it, you can accomplish virtually anything. All right, now, if any of this makes sense to you, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to contact our team, because we have a program where we will literally do all of this for you. So you don't have to think it through on your own. You don't have to go through all the steps and the methods. What we will do is we will actually get it done for you. So if this makes sense, just go to the description below this video and follow the instructions. It'll put you in touch with one of our team members, and from there on, we'll answer your questions, and hopefully we'll work together as partners, and we'll get it done for you.